I think it started with a shift from sport to entertainment. Chase Carey convinced the dominant players in Formula One to reduce their slice of the pie. And if they could do that, then the size of the pie would double, and it has.
Matthew Marsh is a former driver and now motorsports marketing guru. In this episode, we talk about the formula, not on the track, but in the boardroom. How did Formula One unlock a global audience of nearly 2 billion people? We explore the workings of a sporting and content empire. Okay, Matthew, let's start from the beginning. You started out as a driver, then you went into being a Formula One broadcaster, and now you're a motorsport marketing guru. With that wealth of knowledge then, I'd love to know, what do you think it is about Formula One that makes it such a powerful commercial juggernaut compared to the rest of the motorsports available out there?
I think it starts with 827 million fans. You know, Formula One is the world's largest annual sporting series. And importantly now, 70% of those fans are in that 25 to 55 age group, which is the core demographic driving consumption. And more numbers, 40% these days are female, which is increasingly relevant. And it's also a sport that's always on. You know, the cars launch in February, they race through to December every couple of weeks. And they do that in 24 locations around the world, which adds local intensity to the global reach. From a TV point of view, there's almost 500 million unique viewers every year. That totals to over 1.6 billion cumulatively. Formula One now allows people to watch highlights on YouTube. There's 12 million followers on their YouTube channel. And social media, of course, very important for every sport. If you total the Formula One, the league, the teams, the drivers, 550 million followers. And then we get on to the Netflix docuseries Drive to Survive, which has been credited for the growth of Formula One, and it's a very important point. 100 million views a year, but more importantly, it's an entry point for new fans and followers.
All right, so let's expand a little bit more on that then. You bring up Drive to Survive. Tell us a little bit more about why you think that has been so instrumental.
I think the key point was that it took the sport from being about cars going around racetracks to being about the humans involved. It's a human interest story. When you watch Drive to Survive, it's fascinating because 95% of it isn't about the cars on track. It's about the conflict between these extraordinary individuals, the drivers, the team principals, and these locations on the planet where the drivers are living in Monaco and flying on private jets and holidaying on super yachts and glamorous girlfriends and all that.
Now, Formula One is really a business, and it's become such an important case study for business students and for corporate CEOs, entrepreneurs alike. Can you maybe summarize this business model for us?
I think it started with a shift from sport to entertainment. And when the sport was taken over in 2017 by Liberty Media, an entertainment company, and they knew nothing about Formula One by their own admission, which was their superpower because they came with fresh eyes, a new perspective, and they also understood that these 24 races could become sort of Super Bowl-like events in each of their territories. And I think even more impressive than that was that they were able to turn the sport into something that's commercially sustainable. Somehow, Chase Carey convinced the dominant players in Formula One to reduce their slice of the pie to something more equitable, shall we say. And if they could do that, then the size of the pie would double, and it has.
The owner of Formula One, Liberty Media, has seen a 250% increase in the company's value since it acquired the franchise in 2017. It's now valued at $20 billion. And in Q2 of 2025, Liberty Media set a new record for its highest ever quarterly revenue, which reached $1.34 billion. Now, we know that Formula One is all about performance then. So then as a business leader, as the leader of a large organization, or even an SME, what are some of the lessons maybe that we can look at Formula One and go, yes, that is something I want to emulate?
Formula One teams are highly efficient businesses, but I want to give you an example of this. GSK, the pharmaceutical business, the CEO, this is some years ago, but it's directly relevant to the question, toured a Formula One team and said, I can't advertise my pharmaceuticals, but I want to get the essence of a Formula One team into my business because I've got thousands of employees, and if I could improve the efficiency by 1%, That's a huge gain. And for example, I want to have, like you have at the Formula One team, where you have a control room with all the data coming off all the cars and the weather and everything else in one room. I want that from my factories. I want to visualize what's going on in my business. So could you do that for me? And they went into, this was the McLaren team, they went into the GSK factories and they reduced the changeover times for toothpaste manufacturing, very different to Formula One motor racing, significantly, such that the benefits that that company found from one factory paid for the entire partnership before they even spread it across the others.
And then in terms of F1 being an extraordinary platform then for brands globally, it doesn't really matter. We see so much money being pumped into sponsorship at the moment. With your marketing hat on then, tell me a little bit about the ROI and how that's translating.
Well, for decades, Formula One has been a perfect kind of one-stop shop. You know, you put your logo on the car, on the drivers, on the side of the circuit, boom, global brand exposure. But in the modern world, brands really need more engagement and they need more storytelling opportunities. And Formula One, if you ask somebody anywhere on the planet, basically, male or female, rich or poor, young or old, and especially if they're not a fan, ask them about their perception of F1, the words they use are the kind of words that brands love to hear. It's exciting, it's global, it's innovative, it's premium. And then the business of going motor racing in Formula One is a very complicated endeavor. So it offers an almost endless stream of storytelling parallels. You know, there's 1,000 people in the top teams every year designing and manufacturing a new product, the cars, in a tightly regulated environment. They then have to ship them around the planet to go racing using sophisticated logistics. They have to capture and analyze tons of data coming off those cars with which to make informed decisions about strategy and risk management. And all the while trying to attract the talent and retain it to do all of that. And I think that's, you know, whether you're Carlyle in investment management or DHL in logistics or Salesforce in technology or Heineken with a consumer brand, they're trying to raise their profile, but also telling the story about responsible consumption.
And so if you were to pinpoint one success from Formula One that as a key takeaway from this conversation you want people to have, what is it?
I think that's straightforward. I think it's the understanding that was generational and also the American eyes, which was anything somebody's paying money for, whether it's on television or going to the event, is entertainment. So don't get overly excited about the racing. The people have to have a good time. They have to feel they get value for money. Maybe from the racing, but from the overall experience. And we see that. The way that I engage is I want to watch 3 hours on a Sunday evening. My teenage daughter does not. She wants to be a Formula One fan. She's just as valuable as I am, but she wants to engage with merchandise or following on social media. So that, I think, has been the big change.
A big thank you to our special guest, Matthew Marsh, former F1 broadcaster and marketing guru. You've been watching I See Your Trade, brought to you by IC Markets, a leading high-performance trading provider. Trade up to IC Markets. See you next time.